The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip, and I'm back.
I'm CJ.
And I'm Carlos.
And here we are again. I really missed you guys. You know, I had to go, unfortunately, I had to attend a conference and to deal with some things. And but I'll tell you, not much has changed. I had my ear to the ground. I got my reports from my fellow co-hosts here, and seems that not much has changed in the old city of Fall River. The disappearing mayor has been running around trying to justify this budget that is an assault, a relentless assault on the taxpayers in the city of Fall River, but we're sharing the responsibility. I only have one question. When we pay our one of our new fees, do we get a complimentary bottle of jar of Vaseline? That's all I want to know.
Well, you know, Vaseline is a petroleum product. That's not economically or ecologically viable. Yeah. But just a little bit of house cleaning. I want to say that this weekend, as a matter of fact, Saturday, tomorrow, at the Narrows, will be Fall River Portraits, which is a collection of photos and artwork from high school students, UMass Dartmouth students, and members of our community of the Mass in Motion program. And the flyers that you see around, I have a vested interest, for full disclosure. The flyers you see around of the gentleman walking, which is a very beautiful picture, actually happened to have been taken by my Aunt Kathy Duclos. So a shout out to Kathy Duclos for a beautiful picture. It's being used for the flyers. And of course, tomorrow, Carlos, is Citywide Cleanup Day.
Yes.
So, you know, we want to get our community involved and, you know, help out the city and help clean up. And there'll be a cookout after that. Is it at Kennedy Park, Carlos?
Yes, it's always
Yes.
at Kennedy Park. And
Yes, so
you know,
there'll be a cookout at Kennedy Park, and it should be
if you have a couple
an
hours,
interesting day.
just volunteer, and you know, it's a good, definitely a good cause, and clean up our city.
Yeah. Are we gonna clean up City Hall too tomorrow? Oh no, that's November.
No,
I'm
you pick
sorry.
up. No, at City Hall, you pick up your gloves and bags.
Oh, okay.
Cleaning up City Hall is going to be a while away.
Yeah, it's gonna.
So, but those are
take
some
us at
events
least
for
another
tomorrow.
6
You know, we're
months.
not always here talking about the negative stuff in Fall River. We're also talking about the positives. So, come out and support our community, and let's get right to the work of the day, and that is the Fall River City budget. I mean, unbelievable mess. You can't get this mess any better. We've been looking it over, and as a matter of fact, I've actually in the process as we speak, having the budget printed. It's 270 some odd pages. Chip and I need actual hard copies because the PDF file, you got to spin your head around. But already we're finding a lot of flaws in it. And I think one of the big major flaws is that Kathy Ann Viveris clearly stated that their school department budget is not going to be accepted by the Department of Revenue. So if you already have a budget that is not going to get accepted by the Department of Revenue, how can you say you have a budget? And the reason they're not going to accept it, and I did get confirmation on this, is that the budget isn't balanced. Like our budgets are ever balanced in Fall River, but our budget isn't balanced. And what they did was, and Meg Mail Brown went on another media outlet and said very clearly that they're going to underfund the transportation budget, and then hopefully they will meet the requirement of the spending somewhere down the line. I'm not exactly sure how legal that is, but I can tell you right now, I know it's not. But I'm not a lawyer, But then again, I'm going to quote a, reputable attorney, it's legal until challenged in court.
Well, that's not exactly accurate, even though, it means you can do it until you're challenged, and they tell you what you're doing is wrong. Unfortunately, that's the way the system works. And I'm a little troubled because I got a report from someone that at the Highland Neighborhood Association, the mayor said that he wasn't aware of raises that were in the budget, and if they were in there, he didn't, they weren't with his approval. Well, I've got a serious problem with that because that's his budget. He's the chief executive officer. How can it's like me saying, well, this is my budget, but I really don't know what's in it, and if there's anything wrong, I'm not responsible. Well, you are. Harry Truman once said very, very eloquently, the buck stops here. Well, it's his budget. And I don't know how any city councilor can vote in good conscience for this budget when the mayor has said he's not aware of things that are in the budget, and they already know that the school department budget has problems and it's not going to be approved. It seems to me just like a political exercise in futility, so everybody can think that, okay, we got the budget, and later on, after it's rejected, we can do whatever we want with it because we've gone through the process. And, that troubles me. Just as when the mayor was asked on the local radio about the May 1st deadline for submitting fee increases, and he said, we can get around it. I find it troubling that a mayor will say that, we have a process to go through, and we're going to circumvent the process for our own benefit. That is wrong. The direction this city is going in is extremely distressing, and, we've really got to do something about this. We have to. We cannot have an absentee mayor and a city council that, a while back at the last city council meeting, Dan Robillard, who is one of the most astute people I know, he keeps a very close eye on everything that goes on in the city. And he's, whether you agree or disagree with him, he is very well versed and knowledgeable. He knows what he's talking about. And he said it very clearly at the last meeting. We have some city councilors that opposed everything that Will Flanagan proposed and are now supporting, yet they flipped because they supported Sam Sutter. And regardless of the position he takes, no matter how bad it is for the citizens of Fall River, it appears as though they are going to support it. I am looking at those councilors to see if they vote yes on this budget, because if they do, that yes vote is a no vote to the people of Fall River. It proves that they don't care. This budget, there is no shared sacrifices. The budget's completely out of whack. There were no positions, supervisory positions or administrative positions eliminated. So we get to pay more money for less service. And also, we get to pay for the mistakes that the council made and our government has made. They misspend the money, and we get the booby prize. We have to pay for it. Well, you know something? They're going to pay for it at the polls. And with that, I'll turn it over to my main man here, Carlos.
Yeah, I was at that meeting, and the meeting was at the Low Highlands neighborhood. And the question came up, and he didn't know the answer, and he gave three options. Either it's this one, or this one. This proves me that somebody throw a budget on top of this table, and he said, here it is, that's the budget for this year. Because it's no way that I'm putting budgets together I have to put budgets, and the school is one of them. It's no way that somebody's going to ask me a question about how much going to cost this for the school, and I'm going to give 3 options. It's this, this, or this. I don't know the answer. It's no way. That means that I log through and I put that budget together. I know how much it's going to cost me the sprinklers, and how know how much I'm going to save if I go with this company or this company. So this proves me that he had people doing the budget for him, but he didn't even have a chance to look at the budget.
Well, and he is the chief executive officer. It is his budget, and that's what really bothers me, because, you know, I can't, and none of us out here can make a budget that basically says, okay, this is my budget if I hit the megabucks, and this is my budget if I hit a scratch ticket, and this is my budget, you know, if I get lucky at Foxwoods. Well, you know, that's not a budget. That's a wish list.
Yes.
That's a dream. So that's the problem. The city of Fall River in the last, you know, I mean, and this started back when Sean Kadim came in with his smoke and mirrors budget and said everything was fine and the school department wasn't sustainable, but the city side wasn't. And the following year was $16 million in the hole. Well, guess what? Obviously, that meant that that budget was not really a budget. And this budget is not worth the paper it's printed on. It's predicated on a projection of how much they're going to make on the fee. They don't have any idea how many people are going to privatize. The fixed costs are still there because, let's say for the sake of argument, 100% of the people in the city of Fall River privatize, and they don't get a dime from this new fee. The fixed costs of DPW are still there at DCM. What are they going to do with the trucks? What are they going to do with the personnel? It's in the budget. Just as the pay raise, by the way, and I'm going to ask that question Tuesday night at the city council. What are we going to do with the money that's allocated in the budget for the pay raise for a union that they didn't accept? So if they didn't accept it, that money has now been freed up because they haven't settled their contract. Are you going to leave it in escrow? And by the way, that money actually wasn't even from last year's budget. It would need special approval because it included retroactivity. And when you give retroactive money and you have to take it from a current fiscal year to pay for bills incurred in a previous fiscal year, the council has to they have to act upon that separately because that's not legal to pay a bill from last year with this year's money unless they take legislative action as a body. So, I mean, this budget is just BS piled upon more BS, and it troubles me that I'm hearing rumblings that the vote on this budget is going to be, you know, people are guessing, but let's face it, it's a guess. But they're saying as much as 7-2 in favor or 8-1 in favor. Mm-hmm. And this is ludicrous.
Here's my thing. This budget is no difference from last year's budget.
No, exactly.
It's exactly same thing.
Yep.
The only difference is that the projection on the budget last year was only for purple bags, and this year it's a purple bags plus $10.
And the thing that people are missing here is that not only is this budget predicated on freeing up $6.5 million, okay, by creating this sanitation fee, okay, and there's supposedly no pay raises, but we're already finding them in the budget. And they're also predicating this on the fact that they have 34,000 homes. And according to Kathy Ann Viveris, they took out 10% of the people that will privatize. Well, you know, I look at this and say, all right, so you're looking at 31,000. And she said, no, 30. Well, when I did the math at 30,000, it didn't come up to the numbers they had. You know, not that surprised me, but it's 31,000 they need to come up with the exact dollar figures they're talking about. And as you said, Chip, the budget does have in it fixed costs, salaries, benefits, debt, et cetera, et cetera. And those aren't going to change. But we already know that when pay-as-you-throw went into effect, that pay-as-you-throw already had a 10 to 12% decrease in city residents, city property owners using city waste services. So did they already take that 10 or 12% out? According to the figures I'm looking at, no. So now we're not looking at 10%. We're looking at 20, minimum probably 20%. So you've already shot yourself in the foot before you could even address it. And then and it was the lower Highland neighborhood meeting, Chip, that he said that he had no idea about the budgets, the raises. But when asked about, and Steve Camara said this very clearly, when he was asked about Mass General Law Chapter 40, Section 22F, the mayor said he was unaware of it. He had no idea that he could do that. Now, he's a lawyer. Come on, he knows that. As a matter of fact, that's how the fees were implemented last year.
Well, apparently he didn't read the city council agenda because there was a resolution to repeal it.
Right,
So apparently he spends so little time in the office, he doesn't even stay current with what the city council is acting on. If they failed to act on it at the last meeting. But again, here we have the absentee mayor striking again. It seems that he doesn't know a lot. That's why he got the name
Captain Clueless.
Okay.
But let me say this about city council. Just like last year, the administration put the hot potatoes on the hand of the city councils.
They always do.
And either way, they're going to get blamed.
That's right.
They're going to get blamed if they approve the $10. They're going to get blamed for the people getting losing their jobs if they don't approve the $10. Either way, the administration always finds a way to put the hot potatoes on the city councils. And a lot of those yeses last year was not to approve the budget, was a no to a 112. And this is going to happen this year again when they're going to be, they don't want to go to 112 budget.
Carlos, I'm not going to accept the defense that they voted yes on this budget because they didn't want to go to 112. Guess what? Too bad. Legislation by crisis has got to stop in Fall River. And everything in Fall River is always legislation by crisis.
I understand, but you know something, the way it is now, you need to be nice to your citizens, and you need to be nice to your
Whatever
citizens.
you're smoking, Carlos, I want some.
You don't need to be nice, Carlos.
It's election year, and I just want to make sure that I get reelected again.
Yeah.
So it's a hot potato if I'm going to approve the budget with the $10, or if I don't approve the budget, they turn it around and say, because of you, we lost 30 police officers.
Well, let me tell you something. All of this is baloney because, the old saying, if you fool me once, shame on you. If you fool me twice, shame on me. See, I got it what George Bush couldn't remember. He said, yeah, but, I remember that saying. All right, but there was a different there was an expletive in the one that I learned, and it wasn't fool, but it did start with an F, and that's what they're doing to us. But the fact is, listen, this baloney of if we don't do this, we got to go to a 112. Well, it's their fault. How many times have we heard that excuse? They gave us the business on health care a few years ago, and we put them on notice that would never happen again. If we didn't have sufficient time to examine all the facts, we were not going to do anything about changing health care or doing anything, and we were going to fight everything because we didn't have ample time. That's incumbent on a city council to say, get me the budget in time where I can look it over. And I want to, not a week before. It's an excuse. It's political baloney. And I will tell you, you're going to lose police and fire? Well, I looked at the firefighting budget. There's 180.5 salary. Where they got a 0.5, I don't know how they got a half a salary, but I'll find it. But I mean, it just doesn't. I mean, even the budget's baloney because you can't put things like that in. I mean, they don't pay a half a firefighter. or a half of anything. So it's either a full or not. It should be budgeted. If it's leftover money, it's not accounted. I mean, I'm not an accountant, and that's more to confuse people. So if you take the 29, quote, firefighters out of the budget of 180, brings us down to 151, which is approximately the number we had before. Bob Correa reduced the department of 153. We were operating at 153 before. Now they've put more people in the budget because they made an agreement. All we're doing is losing the people that they just put on. It's not like we're going to lose off that baseline figure that they had operated before. We are not going to go where no man dared go before, as they said in Star Trek. We are not going to go there. We're going to go back to the way we were. Is it the right place to be? No, absolutely not. Our money should be prioritized for public safety and for education. But if you look at the fire budget, almost 40% of the people on the fire department are supervisory personnel. What business do you know that has one supervisor for every 1.5 bodies? You have almost your own personal supervisor. There have been no demotions, which means why? They don't care about the service. And nobody likes to see people lose their jobs. I faced layoffs as the president of the union, but we had a demotion process in place. Why? Because we needed to get the supervisors who had no one left to supervise, and we had to demote them back to firefighter to put more firefighters on the trucks to protect the citizens of Fall River, because that's the job of the fire department. There's not even an attempt to maintain even an adequate level of service in any department in this city. Because as I said at the last meeting, and I got no answer, no response, all the cuts we've ever made in Fall River, I want you to give me one supervisor or administrator that has been laid off. And the answer to that question was silence, because none of them could say anything, because we have, as we always say, the inverted pyramid. We lose the people that provide us what we pay for, services. They keep their cronies and their administrators, and we get to pay more taxes for less services. So, you know something, people? If this doesn't wake you up in September and November, and I don't care if you vote a mushroom into the city council, we're not losing much.
No, and you know, Chip, you're right. And I mean, again, we had another major fire here in Fall River today, okay, on East Main Street and Palmer Street. Okay, 13 people are homeless, and a firefighter was again injured. They said minor injuries, but you know what? My opinion is any injury is unacceptable. We know they happen, and we know these guys are putting their lives on the line. But you know what? If we have enough staff, maybe that injury wouldn't happen. I mean, you would know, not me.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously staffing is a major and when firefighters are working with short crews, they have to do more work. They're more prone to injury. And also, you know, people don't understand, you know, firefighting. You know, they say, well, you'll eventually get people there. Well, the problem is it's the first 10 minutes of a fire. Once the fire begins to gain headway and it propagates, you're basically fighting a defensive kind of fire. You have to chase it around, causes, you know, it's called fire propagation, and there are all kinds of studies and curves, and I could, you know, I could pull a Sam and go to the city council and give them 6 million graphs and show them pictures of fire propagations and show them fire propagation curves. But the fact is that fires do not propagate at a fixed, you know, at a very rapid rate. They propagate more in the first 15 minutes than they do in the rest of the fire. It's virtually a flashover, and I actually showed the city council pictures of a fire that was time-lapse photography and showed a flashover, which means the entire room where the fire started in a wastebasket flashed over in like 12 minutes. So the fact is, it's about getting sufficient help on the scene initially. Because even if they do the best job they can possibly do right now with what they've got, we are going to sustain more property damage, and there is a greater chance of loss of life with unmanned crews. The NFPA standard says that you should have a 4-man crew. We haven't run in 4-man crews in decades. And the fact is that a 4-man crew can do things at a fire 25% better, and a 3-man crew is only 40% as effective as a 4-man crew at a fire. So you know something? These are the numbers that count. These are the numbers that count. And his taxes are going to the wrong place. We're paying supervisors, we're paying cronies, and it's got to stop.
Well, you know, and Chip, we just received a message from one of our viewers who's asking us if we'll do a special on examination of the budget. And I think that might be a good idea. We do a show just talking about the budget, because you know, there's a lot there for us to look at. There's a lot there for us to address. But people are interested. People are asking. They're getting us messages. So I think it's important. And, you know, this is a fire on Palmer Street. You know, this is an area that's very congested. But when public safety is at danger, it's not only danger on Palmer Street, it's danger everywhere in the city. And, you know, to have a mayor come out and say, I didn't approve pay raises, but there are pay raises written into the budget, you have to ask yourself, why?
Well, he's looking to duck out. He's going to say, well, I didn't negotiate those pay raises. Well, guess what? They're in there. And you should know they're in there. And the fact is, you did offer a pay raise, because there's a union that was offered a pay raise at the bargaining table during his tenure. So that's a flat-out lie, because it's in the budget. Yeah. So, you know, the bottom line is, look, it's shameful that we always have to be threatened with the cut of public safety and education to try to drain the taxpayer. I want the threat of good government. He told me at the Flint neighborhood, and by the way, Lower Highland, Upper Highland, I apologize. Us poor people from the Flint just look at the Highlands as the Highlands. That's where all the rich people live, okay? So, okay, it was the Lower Highlands, whatever that means. I know one thing, they always had more money than us blue-collar people that grew up in the Flint and still live in the Flint. But the fact is, it is shameful that there has not been one attempt to tighten the belt, streamline government, and make sure that we maintain as much service to the taxpayer as possible. But instead, and by the way, House, it's not only they're going to raise taxes to the max of 2.5. The water, water fees are going up. It's not only the bags. Mm-hmm. There are other raises and other costs to the public, and it is shameful. It is absolutely shameful, and I'll tell you, the mayor made a lot of promises, and I gave him a lot of time. And now, you know, it's pretty obvious with this budget that he is a dismal failure.
And that's because you believe in small government, Chip.
No, you're right. And what did I say? I believe in good government. Good government.
And more people have been talking about receivership. I think we should do a show just about receivership. What is the pros and cons of receivership, so people will get a little bit of information.
Right, and that's what we're here for. We're here to inform our community.
And I think more people are talking about receivership, and it would be nice if we could get some information out there. That's what we're going to gain with, that's what we're going to lose. If we're going to gain more than we're going to lose, then we need to go for it.
Yeah, it's sad, and you're right. We will work on that for you. We listen to our viewers, and we really appreciate them. But, it's a sad thing, because receivership has worked in a lot of communities. It's straightened them out. It's a tremendous burden on the people of the community. But I'll tell you one thing, you only need to go to the receivership when the people who are in the elected offices don't do their job, because we can fix this city. But it's because of the people that are sitting in those chairs right now won't do their job. Put people before politics. Let's see how they vote.
So we're going to still keep looking for that people.
Well, we hope to. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you on Wednesday. Have a great weekend.
You too.